he just fucking leaves her to die from blood loss. We assume blood loss. We don't really get to see her die, but we do get to hear her scream like a motherfucker. So.
Yep, that we do.
So Xavier finds this photo, and he finds out that Daniel's Eric Matthews' son now. You know, he found the discarded photo, and he hunts him and Amanda down. So he's trying to find both of them to get their number. Meanwhile, back at the fucking Jigsaw's headquarters, this whole movie's back and forth between two places. I mean, the first one was kind of that way, too, but this one's even more cuts. You've got Eric Matthews. He's had enough. Donnie Wahlberg's lost his shit at this point. Him and Black Cop, they talk about going old school on Jigsaw. And, you know, Carrie, she's like, that shit ain't going to work, and he doesn't give a damn. So they lock Carrie out of this room, and they leave Eric Matthews in the room alone. And he starts beating the fuck out of Jigsaw. And not only does he beat him up, I have to tell you, one of the most brutal scenes in all the series is when he fucking breaks Jigsaw's finger, and his reaction to it is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that they kind of went, I mean, in hindsight, all that hardcore on the main character obviously being Jigsaw at first, but, you know, it all, I mean, obviously when you get into later Saws, it all ties in together, but I couldn't believe that somebody actually got their hands on the main guy already, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, he fucking whipped his ass, and Jigsaw is just like, you know, he's like, that's the Detective Matthews that, you know, got awards, and, you know, he's basically mocking him the whole time he's beating his ass, and finally, he sticks a gun in Jigsaw's mouth, and he's like, game over, I'll take you to the house, and, you know, you still get the feeling that Jigsaw's up to something, because, I mean, he didn't give a fuck, like you said earlier, he's a cancer patient, what are you going to do to me? So they leave, and as they leave, and they have to go on their own because that was Jigsaw's, his agreement with them that the only way he would tell them where it was is they go by themselves. The tech team actually figures out where the signal's coming from in the monitors, and they follow it. So back in the house again, Xavier, he's following Amanda and Daniel through this trap door, and you've got this game of cat and mouse. And it leads to this bathroom trap from the first movie. So we're back into the whole set from the first movie, and I can't remember if they had to do it in this movie. No, it was Saw 3, but they to get the bathroom in Saw 3, which I may not bring up later, so I'll bring it up now. They had to actually borrow the one from like Scary Movie 2 or Scary Movie 3 rather.
Oh wow!
And then like spruce it up. So yeah, just because I guess they didn't film in the same location and all that bullshit, and it was just different. That would have been hard to, you know, make it exactly how it was in the first one. So they had this little nice kiss to the people of the first one. And this is one of the few sequels, like a Halloween 2, that kind of takes place right after the first one, and you get a lot of cuts from the first one, too. So,
inside
I mean,
you get a lot of cuts. You get a lot of cuts from the previous ones and all the ones going forward, you know, from here on out. Now, just as random thought, was it Saw 2 or Saw 3 that they had the different, I think it was a different director or different producer or something? Like, it was a major change in the movie very early on.
In this one, they have Darren Lynn Bousman directing. James Wan was the director of the first one, but you still had Lee Wannell involved in this one, who wrote both of them. He helped write the first one, and he helped write this one. So the only departure in this one in a major way is James Wan. But Darren Lynn Bousman, good director. Like I said, he did Repo, the Genetic Opera. He's got a pretty good list of films to his credit. And, so not a huge departure in this one. You can kind of tell that it's pretty similar in terms of, you know, just the style and everything. So inside this bathroom, you've got the decomposing severed foot of Dr. Gordon, a.k.a. Cary Elwes. You got the remains of Zepp in there, and you've got Adam in there, who's in an advanced state of decomposition. So we have the story of what's happened to these guys. We knew Zepp was dead. We figured Adam would die, which he did. And it's kind of fucked up to see it, though. You know what I mean? So it's been a while, obviously, since the first one. I don't know if we ever got a timetable, but it's obviously been some time because they're, you know, decomposing. And Amanda looks different than she did in the first one, too. But, again, that's another different timetable because, you know, it was like 6 months between whenever she was in the trap to whenever the events of the bathroom took place. So, I mean, who knows how long this was, but meanwhile, again, after Xavier, he comes up to Amanda, and he's like, I want your number, and, like, Detective Matthews' son is acting like he's dead, and, you know, she's like, yeah, that's great and all, but how are you going to read your own number? And he thinks about it for a minute, and then we get another disgusting fucking scene that I remember.
When he cuts his own skin off for the fucking number. Oh, my God.
Yes. Vividly, yeah. Dude slices a piece of his skin from the back of his neck where it's written. David, how fucking bad would it suck if he goes to do this, right? And he cuts it in half by accident, and he can't read the fucking number. You know, or he has to do it again. Like, that's what I was thinking about. Wouldn't that suck? That would fucking blow.
Yeah,
but
you would go through all this effort, you're butchering the fuck out of your neck, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, that sucks. Where do I go from there?
And you know what's interesting about this? And Vicky, I'll see if you agree with me. What's really good about this is that just like in the first one, you've got a person reacting to this person doing something disgusting to survive. Like in the first one, you had Adam watching Dr. Gordon saw his own foot off, and it made it that much more effective to see the person who's watching it and his reaction, kind of like in Fight Club, when you've got all the reactions of the spectators whenever this guy's getting the shit beat out of him. It's the same way in this one. It's more effective than just showing the person doing it. You get to see the person in the room with them freaking out. And Amanda, despite what she's been through, is sitting there like, oh, my God, this is fucking nasty. Even she's taken aback by it, you know?
Yep, I agree 100%.
I mean, it's just smart direction, smart writing, just fucking genius. Showing people's reaction means so much in a situation like this because, I mean, they're right there. That tells you the story. So anyway, so Xavier, he's got the number now. Now he just needs, you know, Daniel and Amanda's, and he starts to reach down for it, and Daniel pops up and slashes Xavier's throat with Dr. Gordon's hacksaw from the previous film. So that comes back. We get some nice little touches from the first film. Meanwhile, back to Eric Matthews, he arrives at the house, and, you know, he kind of makes his way inside, and eventually he finds the trap door. And the SWAT team, meanwhile, arrives at the location of the video signal, but it's not the same house that they saw earlier on the monitors in Jigsaw's lair. It's nothing like that. The events in the house actually took place a few hours earlier and were broadcast from tapes, and that's what we find out. And it's like, holy shit, this wasn't even going on live. Jigsaw was fucking with them. So Matthews arrives in the bathroom, and he gets stabbed in the thigh with a hypodermic syringe and gets knocked unconscious by somebody wearing a pig mask. And so now we're going to get our big reveal. The timer at Jigsaw's lair expires, and, you know, a safe opens, and you see Daniel inside, and he's wearing an oxygen mask. So he survived this whole thing with the protection of what happened to Amanda. Well, we're about to find out. Matthews, you know, he wakes up, he finds himself chained to a pipe just like Gordon, just like Adam, in the first one. And he's got an audio tape lying next to him, and it reveals that, Amanda's put him there. So Amanda is basically Jigsaw's accomplice or apprentice. It shows a series of flashbacks, and it's like the epileptic fucking montage that they like to do in Saw, where we learn that Amanda's become, you know, Jigsaw's protege, and that Matthews is going to be her first victim as revenge for framing her and sending her to prison, where she became, you know, addicted to prison or heroin. Maybe she was addicted to prison. I don't know. Anyway, Amanda, she shows up in the door and she says game over before closing the bathroom door, while Matthew screams like frets, and he's like, fucking bitch. And outside the house, you get to see Jigsaw, who's had the holy fuck beaten out of him. You know, he kind of slowly smiles, you know, because he's happy. His master plans work to perfection. And fellas, I hate to spoil Saw 3, but I really thought Jigsaw was dead right here whenever I first saw this movie. I really did. I thought that was it. I thought that's what we were supposed to get out of this, that, you know, she's going to carry on the legacy and he's dead now. But not so much.
I thought so, too. Yep. Yeah, I agree with her. I thought that was it. And truthfully, I thought that that was kind of going to be the end of, you know, that was going to be the one sequel. And I just remember when they were introducing Saw 3, I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
This made me more interested
we wrong.
in. Yeah, well, exactly. And I'm like, wow. Okay, well, what can you do from here? So it made me more interested in watching Saw 3.
So, sorry about not getting you the number, David. Thanks for hitting Vic up. I didn't see that you had messaged.
That's all good.
Okay, so, David, since you don't even like movies, but you like the Saw movies, so I'm going to let you talk first. Tell me about, the first, if you remember the first time you saw it, what your thoughts are, and then give me some sort of a rating out of 4.
I remember the first time I saw it was with an ex-girlfriend of mine in an empty movie theater. I guess it must have been the tail end of like when Saw was in theaters. I'm like, hey, let's go see this. And she was freaking out because we were the only two in the theater because she was, she's seen the other two as well, and she's thinking some freak in a pig mask is going to come and kidnap her or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you're just so dumb. So basically, then what winds up happening is, I just remember being unexpectedly surprised at how the direction of the third one went. Creepy as fuck. Good kills in this one. I mean, that's what I like about this movie. I mean, the gore in it is like, it's so over the top, and it's just like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. But I just remember leaving the theater like, okay, this is good. Not to spoil anything, but, okay, now I wonder what's going to happen next if there is another one,
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, look in hindsight later, it's definitely translated to another movie. Out of 4, and I told you this, before, that 2 and 3 are probably my favorites of the series, and I've watched all of them. So I would have to say this one out of 4, I would give it a 3. So.
Fair enough. Well, what about you, Philpott?
First of all, I love that with the, because obviously Saul was, as I said last week, is the king of the torture porn. Well, it amps it up like with every movie. So starting off, the whole eyeball thing, like it just goes and goes and goes from there. I love this movie. This is one of the sequels that I love almost as much as the original. Like from any series ever, any franchise. I usually don't like the sequels nearly as much as the original, but this one, it's pretty close. And whenever it all comes down to it, man, it's the perfect sequel in my opinion. It's a 4 out of 4 all day for me.
I hate you, Victor. Well, I hate you. Well, because we agree every fucking time. We agree all the time. I remember seeing this movie for the first time. Like I said, I saw the first one. Somebody fucking bootlegged it for my ex-wife, and we watched it, and it was kind of shitty quality, but it was a really good movie, and I was like, we got to see Saw 2. And I think by this point, I already owned Saw on DVD, so, we spent our money. And then we went and saw Saw 2 at the theater, and I was fucking blown away. I was like, you don't expect a sequel to be as good as the original. Now, I can't say that this is as good as the original, but it's right there. And as far as sequels go, like Vic said, to me, this is one of the best Part 2s ever. In fact, once upon a time, we did a YouTube show, and I know this had to be on our list somewhere, but our asses were so drunk, it didn't make much sense because by the end of it, we realized we both left Hatchet 2 off, and that wasn't right. But anyway, but I really think this is like top 3 of Part 2s of all time, right there with Halloween 2 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Like, I shit you not, I really think it's that good of a sequel. You get a couple of really disgusting scenes. They did amp up the gore a little bit in this one. Yeah, nobody cut off their foot, but you had the idea that this guy would have to cut his eyeball out. You had this guy cut the skin off the back of his neck. You had somebody basically get degloved. You had somebody get burned alive, which was fucking gross. You had somebody, what else? This one guy that gets caught in the Iron Lady or Iron Maiden or whatever the fuck that thing's called, and smashed his head.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of good gore in this, but it was a good story too. and you know, it was just really good. And